essentially Christian was talking about wanting to have a vault of music that he listens to stored up on the chain, rather than downloaded on any system that's his, so that he can readily share it with his other friends and social network, which is a slightly different conception of what this thing is. It lines up with the desire to share music, but it's a little different in the sense that Christian would like to be able to upload tunes that he has the rights to, not to stream or to not for sale, but in order to share with his friends. So it's
like making a private video on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
And making a private playlist on SoundCloud. It's the same thing. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So it's an interesting contemplation of the platform. And so I'm curious as to what other people think about these kinds of use cases. I mean, I'm not suggesting that we go, marching down the path of doing those right away, but rather, since these conversations are supposed to be about, the longer term requirements.
I like the idea. I like the idea, and I think it also will invite for artists that want to test their songs on, let's say, their super fans. They could upload it. They could send out a message to their 20 or 100 or 1,000 favorite fans, get their feedback. The gamification of the platform is engaged, and then when the artists are satisfied with, be it fan reaction, friend reaction, then they could push a button and release it publicly. I like that function. I mean, and that's very much how things work on SoundCloud. I could post a link on SoundCloud. I can invite 20 friends. They could all comment on it. I can keep uploading new versions of the songs into that exact folder, and then when everybody's happy, I could release it and it's available.
Well, is this also part of Christian creating a private vault? So I totally get the use case Fabian just outlined, but is there another use case that you have music maybe that is yours and maybe is not, but you want to store it someplace and kind of create your own area that people can look without scrutiny from other people and the public at large?
Well, I wish Christian were here to sort of disambiguate some of these use cases. It was really, it was sort of his own use of this, but so I don't know, but I guess we can inspect our own experience. Nora, you just joined the call, so we were talking about kind of the private playlist, private video kind of use case here, and Christian brought up a sort of a number of different features related to wanting to be able to store music that he's acquired, and then share it in order to be able to share it with his social network, which is a different than the way we've contemplated this platform, but does align with sort of some of the social uses of the platform that we've thought about.
Yeah. And then can I just add one more thing to that, which is, it's a really, really interesting idea. And then do we extend that even to non-audio, where we become kind of like a BitTorrent in a way?
Yeah, well, I've thought about that, right? Or a Dropbox, or any kind of data sharing kind of solution.
Yep.
I mean, I think it is it's an interesting one, but I wonder I wonder if there's if blockchain is a good fit for this, right? So is immutability something that is important here? I mean, I'm still thinking it through myself. I don't have ready answers.
Yeah, conceptually, the piece, I'll just say, just from my own experience, it's normal for me and my friends that go to music conferences that when we return back with hard drives or CDs or flash drives full of music, that we all create a shared folder, and then we amass like 100 records that we're all able to listen to and comment on privately. That's one use case of this. The other side of it is how does an artist engage with their fans and allow their fans to listen in on the creation of an album and be uploading the songs as they're progressing and have their fans to input. That's a whole other thing. And then of course there's the, well, I'm a bedroom producer and I only want 5 of my friends to listen to my song. And that's another feature. There's a lot of different features that could be done with here's the music, and it's allowed, and only these people have permission to listen to it until the artist decides to A, flip the on switch so it's available to the public, or B, pull it off the system entirely.
Yeah. So this is mostly more granular permissioning.
Yeah, I mean, it's another level of it. And again, a lot of other platforms, have different versions of this. The space where I'm most interested in would be the idea of an artist is recording their new album and how they're engaging their fan in listening to those tracks, and fan to artist feedback loops, and how we can reward that system. I think that would be really cool, because a lot of people have tried to do that by creating private links on SoundCloud and private links on YouTube, and sending survey monkeys or just an email. Tell us what you think of this song, this song, this song. And that's the way of fan engagement, or a private page on Facebook. But what we're talking about, we can take that whole concept and kick it up another notch.
Yeah, I mean, so that lines up with the use case that I've often contemplated, which is that, a group like the California Guitar Trio, as they're preparing for their next album, like even before they go into the studio, they might drop some themes and motifs and riffs and stuff like that into a shared space that the other players can listen to and develop and work on, so that by the time they get to the studio, they're not starting from ground zero. They're starting from some fairly well-established ideas that they then take to the next level, or not even before they get to the studio. When they get to their next rehearsal, they and they can continue to refine and document and collect the information in this shared venue. And then as they've got various tracks recorded and mixed, then they add more people to that shared venue. And then when they start to have graphics associated with the album, or little video snippets associated with the album, that's also in the shared space. And then they continue to add either people who are actively participating in the project, a promoter, or booking agent, or another sound engineer, any of those kinds of people who are actively participating in the project. They have access to the shared space. And then when finally the album drops, right, then the tracks are there, but also the history of the making of the tracks are there. And that might be a significant value to their audience, especially when I think about the younger musicians who really don't yet know what goes into the making of a song. That might be of significant value to them.
I want to chime in, and there's a technology which I just put the link into the chat. These guys have created the platform that makes it, that's going to be set up into Pro Tools, Logic, and Ableton. That way, in real time, while a track is being recorded, all the metadata is being collected. It is currently the industry standard that is being used with Universal and Sony. I met these guys during what's that conference that I went to? NAMM. And I went to their offices over in Hollywood to take a look at what they've got. And you'll see through the link that they're clearly working with the top artists in the world. And it is something to consider to see how it could be integrated into what we're building as well. Because they have they're one of the major keepers of metadata for major records, and maybe there's something here to be explored for how it integrates for independent artists, because it hasn't been commercially licensed yet or put out there for younger musicians.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Nora, you're very quiet. Any chance you can weigh in on this?
On which part of it?
Any part that you know.
Well, I've put a few comments into the chat.
As a musician, and also as someone who listens to music, are any of these features interesting or relevant to you? Do you think you would use them?
Well, I don't know of another service that's providing the kind of thing that you guys were discussing with the SoundCloud example. I was trying to think of one, and I don't know if I don't know if I know of one.
You mean besides SoundCloud?
Yeah, I mean, to have another use case example of that. I was thinking about, I know that you've been talking about the California Guitar Trio example for a long time, about them being able to share their work with each other, and, you know, having musicians have a place to be able to sort of collaborate and also invite their fans to kind of view that process sort of in the beginning stages, as they sort of come together. I know you've been talking about that. I've heard you say that over the last few months. Personally,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's potential for that idea. I'm just thinking about it right now. I mean, I'm in the studio right now pretty constantly working on music. I don't know what the use would be for that type of thing for me right now. But I don't think that I can say that there wouldn't be use for that necessarily either. But personally, I think it just depends on how closely you work with the people around you, you know? Like California Guitar Trio would be a really, obviously, maybe this is why you brought it up, a really good example because they all work at a distance, you know? So if you have
Yeah,
a group,
that's right. Yeah, if you have musicians that are collaborating at a distance, or but I think you also release on Facebook a lot of sort of early or rough kinds of things. Like if you get together with a friend and something happens, you turn your phone on and put that out on Facebook. I've seen you do that.
yeah, I mean, that stuff doesn't usually wind up going on recordings or stuff. That's usually just like, you know, videos for Facebook or whatever, or like, you know, I do like live streams sometimes, and, you know, because, you know, reality has won the social media fight, which is a very interesting thing that I read a lot about. And there are a lot of different sort of social media and different types of sorry, getting over a cold here, sorry about that, different types of gurus and different people that talk about this, but reality has really won the war on social media. So for example, when social media first kind of got started, a lot of people were really trying to perfect the image that they were putting out there. And when MySpace started, people like Jeffree Star got really famous. It was basically like, you know, who can have the most perfect image and who can have the most perfect life. And there's still like some of that, definitely, like Instagram. There's a lot of Instagram stars out there who are definitely trying to scrub their existence and only put out like the best of the best. But actually what we found is like a lot of the most popular artists on YouTube, especially musicians, going back to Fabian's comment about bedroom producers, which is really interesting because Zed and Calvin Harris and all these people are making music in their bedrooms all the time, their palatial bedrooms, is that actually reality has won. People really like to see what people's lives are really like, you know, they really like to see people in their sweatpants. They like to see people struggle and cry on the internet. They like to see them talk about real life and, you know, vacuum the floor and, you know, go through the car wash and do whatever they're doing. So I think that's a really interesting aspect of what's going on in social media right now. Does
I'd
that
like
mean
to I'd like to comment on the watching the musician cry and be in their sweatpants.
Yes, yes, go ahead.
It's a buddy of mine and social media follower. A buddy of mine. His name's Justin Michael Williams. He had a dream of making an album. He was not a professional singer or a professional musician, but he certainly had a great handle on how to work his followers on social media. He documented his journey for an entire year of learning how to play the piano, learning how to sing, writing lyrics, recording an album. And it went so well that when the album debuted, it debuted on the top 20 of iTunes, beating out the new album of Britney Spears that was released that week. And I think for an artist that had no label, no marketing team, nothing at all, just his social media and how he cried on camera, how he talked about the lyrics, and he kept on posting videos of, what do you think of this song? What do you think of this lyric? I'm writing this because this happened to me as a kid. And he was super transparent through the entire process, and it charted him on iTunes. But when I think of that, and I think of what we're doing, there's the idea of how do we take that content and allow for there to be a deeper fan engagement? And how does that deeper fan engagement play out? Through chain, through tokens, through that data being recorded onto chain that's able to then reward the fans. It's I was watching there's a band out of Portugal that I really love called The Gift, and on Instagram they posted a new song. It was just the band in the studio recording, rehearsing or playing the song. And the entire video, you see all the hearts and thumbs up and all that business. It must have been like a couple of thousand of them showing up over a 4-minute period. And then the video's gone. I can't find it. I wanted to share it with you guys, but I can't find it because I watched it and it's disappeared. But that type of social media content put onto a new music streaming platform that is able to, again, reward the fans, reward the artists for those types of videos is something that we haven't yet seen. Because these artists are putting out all of this content, and one, it disappears, which is, you can like it, you can not like it. But the thing is that there's nothing for them to monetize that content. And for the most part, the vast majority of the content that's posted out there doesn't get monetized. And I think with the world of micropayments and with what we're talking about creating, we could really switch up the game.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. I mean, it's just really interesting to see how the style has changed, of the style of making music and the style of getting music out there, like just the reality of things. Like, when Beyonce's album Beyonce came out, she didn't advertise it. Nobody knew it was coming out. It just dropped. I think it was 2014. That was the one with, Formation and all these like really iconic songs on it. And it was just like this art piece, and she didn't think anybody was going to like it. And she actually said that in some of the lyrics. Oh, well, is what she says. And then it just like, it was like this huge, phenomenal success. And it was just like this thing that she kind of tossed out there. And like, Ariana Grande and like other people are making these videos now, like where you have these like huge artists making these music videos that are kind of like, they look like fan pieces. They're just like, and, Solange Knowles, Beyonce's sister, just put out a serious professional music video, but it's literally her in her sweatpants in her living room. And it's like a really fun video to watch because she's just enjoying her life. And I believe it's a very authentic artistic concept. So, Britney Spears, 20 years definitely ago would not, maybe 15 years ago, would not have done that, because 15 years ago you had to have, full scale crew and lights and costumes, and obviously like you still have some of that, but it's just the style has just changed. And so I think Fabian is right that we need services that change with that style, that along with the style of putting out music that's more reality based, we also need to get it to people in a style that's more reality based. So that could be part of our strategy, you know, talking about that. So I don't know if that has anything to do with what you asked me, Greg. So sorry about that.
No, it absolutely does. I mean, this is precisely the kind of thing that I'm interested in is, you know, what creates the connection between the artist and their audience in such a way that they can support each other, right? So the artist is channeling something that nourishes their audience, and the audience is channeling something else that nourishes the audience, the artist. So, you know, I think it's, you know, what is it that creates that transfer, that exchange, and makes this platform
Yeah.
something that supports that exchange. And so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm posting a link in the chat of this band that I was mentioning before, The Gift. The video I was referring to from Instagram isn't on their Facebook page, but when I look at the Facebook page, you can see they've got 16,000 views for this video, 15,000 for this one, 2,000 for that one. And, you know, when you add them all up, you know, there's close to 100,000 views across all of this, but they don't see a penny for any of this, you know, and there is no tracking of information that further helps the band besides a world of likes. They're being compensated with likes.
Totally.
And the question here is, you know, how will blockchain take the like and turn it into a token? How will blockchain allow for when the artist is regularly putting out content, that what Darryl likes to refer to as the artist to appreciator, the A to A. You know, the artist to fan is the easy one, but the A to A business, how do we build that economy? And how do we build that economy specifically within the blockchain space? And I'm really, you know, this is the thing that I love about what we spend a lot of our time trying to figure out and talking about. Now that we're really at first base with the build of RSong, but where will we be 6 months from now, 8 months from now? Is my grand hope is that we have figured out how to economically play into this world of how social media and tokenized rewards work between fan and artist.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. Yeah, like about a year ago, I realized that I had just passed 100,000 views on my Facebook page for my videos, my violin videos as well. Obviously, I've seen no money from that also, which is really interesting because I have a YouTube channel, and I was getting all these views on Facebook, way more than I was getting on YouTube. I only have like 50 or something thousand on YouTube, a very small YouTube channel by any standard. But Facebook was growing much faster, and I just thought that was so interesting because, you know, on Facebook you can post videos to groups, and groups share videos. And I agree that it's very interesting that people are seeing all these views on Facebook. It's an amazing place to get views on videos because of groups and people being able to share. But then there's no way to monetize that. So jumping off of your A to A thing from Darryl, I think that the RSong app, I put this in the chat before, I think it's really important at some point that it has tipping for artists. If we could have a streaming app that has tipping that goes direct to the artist, so that no matter what, if you want to send $10 to the artist that you're listening to and it goes straight to the artist, I think that would be like an incredibly cool and convincing feature.
Yep. It's either anyone can tip automatically, you know, they can say, I want to tip. And then B, there's how does the massive ledger manage an accounting system that's able to track and reward. And and whoever can figure that out is going to be the winner of the new version of what a music streaming platform is going to look like.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Me too.
Why should I trust when Facebook says that an artist has 200,000, 900,000 views? Can we do something in a way which is more trustworthy using blockchain, to where using identity wallets or some way to to have something which you don't have to trust Facebook or YouTube or whoever about the popularity.
Well, there are usually likes and comments that are consistent with that, with the number of views, just to answer your question. But I agree that I don't know of a way to tamper with views on Facebook. I know of a way to tamper with views on YouTube, which is pretty easy. But I don't know how to do it, but I know how it's done. That doesn't make any sense. I know that people can do it, but I don't know how to do it myself. But I don't know of a way to tamper with views on Facebook, because it's pretty easy to see that when there are views, they're usually corresponding likes and comments with them. I've never seen a video that has high views without likes and comments attached. You know what I mean?
I'm saying that, Facebook could lie about it, podcasts could lie about it. Point of being on blockchain, we can be a little stronger. Maybe
I
a
don't
little
know if
more
Facebook can
trustworthy.
lie about that, but I agree with you that it would be great to know for sure that we can't lie about it. I will tell you an example of somebody that has lied. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Tidal, Beyonce and Jay-Z's streaming service, did get caught. I can put an article in the chat if you like. They got caught last year lying about streaming numbers. They were inflating their numbers to make it look like their service was more popular than it was.
Yep. Well,
A lot of manipulation. I mean,
yeah,
similarly on blockchain, on exchanges, there's a lot of churning to create fake
Right.
volume.
Right. So, yeah, but I don't know of a situation in which Facebook has been caught inflating video numbers, or that's even possible. Personally, I don't know if that's possible.
You could write bots though that do that.
But wouldn't that just be circulating the video to people that are actually watching it? Like that's like streaming farming, like when you hook up a bunch of phones to Spotify and leave them in a room. Like the phone is definitely listening to the song. Whether their ear is attached to the phone is another question. It's like a philosophical question at that point. Right? Like if the stream plays and there's no human to hear it, does the count still happen or whatever?
Well, it does, right? I mean, you can write a distributed bot that, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it has been done, but anyway, I got to run to this other meeting.
Oh.
But great conversation.
Nice
Yeah,
to hear from you, Ned.
Yeah, see you at the staff meeting.
Yeah,
It's not staff. We're meeting with the Cabernum.
Yeah, the daily stand-up at 9. Yeah.
Yep. All right. I'm going to jump as well, guys.
yeah. I actually need to jump as well, so maybe we'll just call it here for today.
Okay.
Should I go to the other meeting or no?
No. You go to the staff meeting at
9:30.
9:30. Yeah.
Perfect.
Exactly. Awesome.
Good
So,
conversation. That was great. All right.
yeah.
Later.
Exactly.
Thank you.